What if the most dangerous inheritance your parents gave you wasn't money, property, or even their genes, but their advice? What if following their wisdom, their proven methods, their life lessons is actually the fastest way to destroy your own potential? And what if this isn't just about bad parenting, but about something far more sinister, generational trauma disguised as love? Today, we're going to expose why your parents' advice might be sabotaging your life, how trauma passes through generations like a virus, and how philosophy gives us the tools to break free. But I warn you, once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. And some of you won't be ready for what comes next. Think about the last time your parents gave you advice. Maybe it was about your career. Just get a stable job with benefits. Your relationships. Don't be too picky, settle down while you can. Your money. Don't take risks, save everything. Or your dreams. Be realistic, that's too competitive. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. Most parental advice isn't wisdom. It's unprocessed trauma wrapped in good intentions. Your parents aren't giving you guidance based on your potential. They're giving you survival strategies based on their fears. And those fears? They didn't originate with your parents. They've been passed down like genetic code, mutating and strengthening with each generation. Carl Jung discovered something terrifying about families. We inherit more than eye color and height. We inherit psychological patterns, emotional wounds, and unconscious behaviors. What he called the family shadow. All the unresolved trauma, shame, and limiting beliefs that previous generations couldn't face. Your great-grandfather's poverty mindset becomes your father's fear of financial risk, which becomes your terror of starting a business. Your grandmother's experience of being betrayed becomes your mother's distrust of relationships, which becomes your inability to be vulnerable with a partner. But here's where it gets really dark. This trauma doesn't just influence your parents' advice, it shapes their entire view of what's possible for you. When your mother tells you to be safe, she's not protecting you from real danger. She's protecting you from the imaginary dangers her own trauma created. When your father tells you to be practical, he's not helping you make good decisions. He's passing on his own fear of taking risks because he never learned to process the pain of his own failures. The philosopher Emmanuel Levinas wrote about the face-to-face encounter, the moment when you truly see another person as separate from yourself. But most parents never have this encounter with their children. They can't see you as a unique individual with your own path because they're looking at you through the lens of their own unhealed wounds. They see their fears reflected in your choices. They see their limitations projected onto your potential. This is why your parents' advice feels so suffocating. It's not designed for who you are, it's designed for who they're afraid you might become. It's not based on your strengths, it's based on their weaknesses. It's not about your dreams, it's about their nightmares. Let me give you a concrete example. Your parents tell you, don't quit your job to start a business, it's too risky. They think they're being practical. But what they're really saying is, I was taught that security is more important than fulfillment. I never learned to trust my own abilities. I've watched my dreams die slowly in corporate cubicles, and I can't bear to watch you risk the same disappointment. They're not protecting you. They're protecting themselves from reliving their own pain through your experience. Or your parents say, don't be so emotional, people will think you're weak. They believe they're teaching you social skills. But what they're actually passing on is, my own emotions were rejected and dismissed. I learned to shut down my feelings to survive. I'm terrified that if you feel too much, you'll be hurt the way I was hurt. They're not making you stronger, they're making you emotionally unavailable like they are. Here's the philosophical crisis this creates. Sartre said we are condemned to be free. We have no choice but to create our own meaning and make our own choices. But generational trauma steals that freedom. When you follow your parents' advice, you're not making free choices. You're acting out someone else's unconscious programming. You become what Sartre called bad faith, a person who denies their own freedom and lets others define their possibilities. The existentialists understood something profound about family dynamics. Authenticity requires separation. Not abandonment, not cruelty, but psychological separation. You cannot become who you truly are while operating from your parents' fear-based worldview. You cannot discover your own potential while accepting their limitations as your own. But breaking free from generational patterns isn't just about rejecting your parents' advice. It's about understanding why that advice exists. Your parents aren't villains, they're unconscious. They're passing on survival strategies that worked in their context, but may be completely inappropriate for your life. Your grandfather's advice to never trust anyone might have saved him during the Depression, but it's destroying your ability to form meaningful relationships in the modern world. Nietzsche wrote about the eternal return, the idea that we're doomed to repeat the same patterns unless we consciously choose to break them. This is generational trauma in a nutshell. Your family keeps recreating the same limiting beliefs, the same fears, the same missed opportunities, generation after generation, until someone, maybe you, decides to say no more. Here's how to start breaking these patterns. First, ask yourself, whose voice am I hearing when I make decisions? If it's your parents' voice telling you to be safe, be practical, don't take risks. That's not your authentic self speaking. That's inherited trauma. Second, examine your fears. Are you afraid of failure because you've experienced failure, or because you've been taught that failure is catastrophic? Are you afraid of success because you've been hurt by success, or because your family believes successful people are selfish or lucky? Third, practice what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are rather than who your family expects you to be. This means making choices based on your own values, not inherited values. It means pursuing goals that excite you, not goals that would make your parents proud. It means accepting that disappointing your family might be the price of not disappointing yourself. But here's the hardest part. Your parents will resist this process. When you start making decisions based on your authentic self rather than their programming, they'll feel rejected. They'll say you're being selfish, ungrateful, or naive. They might withdraw their support or increase their criticism. This isn't because they don't love you, it's because your growth threatens their worldview. If you can succeed by ignoring their advice, it means their advice might have been wrong. And for many parents, admitting they might have limited you is too painful to face. The philosopher Martin Heidegger wrote about thrownness, the idea that we're thrown into circumstances we didn't choose. You didn't choose your family, their trauma, their limiting beliefs, but you can choose what to do with that inheritance. You can keep passing it on, or you can let it die with you. So, here's your challenge. For 1 week, before making any significant decision, ask yourself, am I choosing this because I want it, or because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? Am I avoiding this opportunity because it's genuinely wrong for me, or because I've been conditioned to avoid risk?